Hey, welcome back. This is part 2 of the trailer build that we're currently doing. So, after the last video, I got this part all welded up real nice. So, it's not perfectly straight. As you can see right in here, I had to bang in the steel a little bit, and then on the outside, I essentially had to smack the outside in to meet up with the steel I was putting on. So that worked out fairly well. I didn't have to do any major smashing to get it to come in. The only spot I didn't get to weld was right in here along the front, and that part right there. I'm gonna have to take a hydraulic jack and put it under the trailer to bring this up more, and then because this I can't smash it down far enough to get it to go in. You can see the gap is fairly large, and this one not as large, but I've already smashed this metal down as much as I can. So I'm going to go ahead and put in that side, and then once that side's done, then we can work on putting on the front. So the front will start from the bottom part, will start from here and go across, and the piece up against this wall will start here and go all the way across. And then once we get that part done, then I can figure out what to do in this middle where those holes are. I haven't figured out quite yet. So my thoughts on this part were essentially to maybe cut the steel in half. So I put one half on one side of the crack and one half on the other, since it kind of goes up like that. And that'll just give me one extra seam to weld, which isn't a really big deal. It's only about 6 foot or so. So that was idea one. Depending upon how easily I can get a jack under here and push this up, I may just run a piece across and put the jack under it and push the steel up. So I haven't quite figured it out yet. I'm still trying to figure out how I want to do that. So as of now, we got that done, but I have to say, I mean, it does look a lot better. So, and all the seams are welded, so nothing can get behind it and rot it out any worse. if you saw in the time lapse, this little area, especially like right in here up through there, the steel was really clean. Not super clean. I mean, I didn't get it down to like shiny steel, but it was down to clean steel, and it didn't weld great. This up here welded a little better. Once I get up in here, this is going to be a nightmare. I don't know if you can see it's textured from the rust. So that makes it really difficult to weld. Like those welds here, that one, was it that one? Yeah, that one burnt through. So I ended up spending like a minute or so filling in that hole. That one I got lucky on. This one just is absolutely horrendous. And this one ain't much better. So from this weld forward, it's just going to be a hassle laying any kind of decent weld beads down on this thing. Luckily, this side seems really good. A lot better than the other side. This side was really dirty with a lot of concrete, but I was able to scrape the concrete off, and using the wire wheel got a lot of the concrete off that I needed to move in order to get a decent weld on here. So this side isn't going to be terrible. Still strange. And then from all the pushing and hammering, that crack has popped up. Okay, so now that we got the trailer pretty much welded up, we got the sides on, and just a few like little minor things I need to finish up doing. But I'm going to turn my attention now to the trailer wiring. So as you can see, the trailer plug has been left to drug on the ground, I guess, at some point in its life. It actually still works, but it is definitely messed up. So luckily, they have a cool little electrical box here. And really, it's a matter of just unscrewing the wires and putting new wire, or putting the new pigtails back in. So normally I also keep in my stock, I keep these trailer harnesses, 8-foot pigtail with a 7-way on it. What's weird about these is a lot of the times the wire colors are wrong. White is always the ground, blue is always the trailer brakes, and black is almost always the 12-volt power. And then from there, it just depends on the harness. So you need a stoplight for the right, which is also your right blinker, stoplight and blinker for the left, and tail lights. So that's what these are. So, and then you still have an extra wire left, and that extra wire is normally the reverse lights, if your trailer uses reverse lights, which most trucks are wired up for, but most trailers don't have it. So 12 volts, ground, brake. Brown is supposed to be your tail lights, and then the yellow and green are your two stop lights. I always get them confused, so I never remember. And then the red would normally be like a reverse light or something else if you have it wired in differently. So I don't know what how this setup is on here. I see the yellow wire is sticking out, and it has a clean cut end on it, so evidently that it wasn't corroded off, so that's not a wire that was used before. But I do see a red, a green, a brown, blue, black, and white. So that means that the yellow wire in my new harness will not be used. So what I'm going to do to check and see if these are the same is I'm going to get my my multimeter out of my kit, and we're going to test and see if the wires match up to each other. If like the one connector on, this connector on this plug matches up to the blue? Does it match up to the blue on the same connector on the other side? So I'm going to put you in the camera holder here because I cannot do this one-handed. So, all right. So if you've never done this before, if you don't know how to use a multimeter to find out, you have all the different settings on it. You have DC voltage, AC voltage, batteries, you have amperage, and then you have resistance, continuity. So this is what tells you if there's an open connection or not. So right now it's at 1, meaning that there's no connection. And if I touch these two together, you see it goes down to 0.05, 0.04. So that means that there's 0.04 ohms of resistance. So it means it's pretty much a straight through shot from one side to the other. So we'll use this to find if these are the same. So since the yellow is open on this one, we'll do this. Since I'm going to cut this wire anyway, let's go ahead and we'll strip this wire back a good bit. And we'll wrap one of these around. Now when you're testing circuits like this, you don't need black and white, doesn't make a difference. So we'll find out which one this goes to. We'll just touch them all. All right, so the center is the yellow on this one. I guess I should have figured that one out since that's the reverse. So we'll put the black one on this yellow wire and we'll put it to the center, which is the same. All right, so that's an open circuit. That's a circuit. The yellow on this one is the center and the yellow on the new one is still the center. So let's try a different one. So the most important circuit, in my opinion, of any trailer connection is the brakes. So let's test where the blue is and see if the blue is in the same spot. The brakes and the ground are the two most important things. All right. All right, so on this one, that prong on the plug is for the electric brakes, which it should be on the bottom. And then the ground is the one next to it. So let's find the same one on this one, which is this one that's halfway eaten. We'll put one in there. And then we'll find the blue wire in the box. Is that right? No. Whoops, it's the other one. I had it upside down. And that's right. So chances are, if we just swap out wires for wires, color for color, and plug this trailer in, everything should work just fine. It shouldn't be an issue. I don't know if that's in the way for you. So what we'll do is we'll just take these wires out and put these ones in the same colors matching up, and everything should just be more or less plug and play on this. And then we have this box to worry about too, which I had talked about earlier as a breakaway switch. So when this on the first video I talked about it, about how this little dangly piece here was sitting on the trailer box, and I thought that the guy pulled it out and was using it for like an emergency brake, and then I realized that the switch is actually broken. So I don't want to pull it apart. Well, actually I can. So what happens is if you pull this piece out, these two wires essentially touch and create a circuit and send power to the brakes. Since this is getting replaced anyway, do that. And then let's see if we can pull this thing out. Ain't gonna work well either. I need a screwdriver, really. There we go. All right, so there we go. So that's the piece, and normally the piece is on here. It's like a little clip that's on there. So that just pulls out. And the whole idea is when the trailer ever comes detached from the truck, this will be attached to the truck, and then as it pulls, you know, the truck drives away and the trailer's not moving as fast, this should pull out the electric brake switch and throw the brakes on full blast to the trailer, which will helpfully slow the trailer down, so you can come to a safe stop and the trailer just doesn't go swerving all through traffic. You should always have your safety chains hooked up too. If you can see your safety chains, they always should be hooked up for safety. And when the safety chains are hooked up properly, the truck becomes disconnected. The trailer will, of course, go back because all it's, you know, this is the only thing holding the trailer, and it's still pulling the trailer forward. But that brake switch should release, and the brake should cut on. But then again, too, I like having these long pigtails. If your trailer does become disconnected, you will probably pretty well feel it. And if you have a long enough pigtail like this, it'll be enough for it can stretch this cord out a good bit before it becomes disconnected, which would give you a few seconds to hit the electric brakes in your vehicle to slow the trailer down. So that's a theory. Does it work? You know, you've seen the instances on YouTube and TikTok where the trailers just like come disconnected and just fly off. I mean, it happens especially with a big dump trailer like this. I mean, this is a large trailer, probably a 14,000 pound GVW, which means that the trailer probably weighs 4,000 and you can put 10,000 pounds of weight in this thing. It's a large trailer, yeah. So having this thing just running wild on the road would not be the best idea. So anyway, let's get to replacing this stuff. Okay, sorry about that. Just trying to figure out what's going on here. I was just back and forth for a few minutes trying to figure all this out. So they're saying that their trailer plug doesn't work, or the trailer battery wasn't charging, and trying to figure that out. So it looks like the trailer battery is charging off the truck like it's supposed to. Or when you're driving, the trailer battery is supposed to keep a charge from the charging system of the vehicle, and it's supposed to maintain it while you're driving it, but it's a very low power charging system. So what they do on these kind of trailers is a lot of times they put an onboard charger on there, so that's what I just plugged in here. Oh yeah, and it's supposed to kind of like take up the slack from the charging system. So what I found out was the fuse on the charger that goes to the battery was blown, so there wasn't any power going through, and that's probably why it wasn't working. So with that said, I think I got the battery situation figured out. Everything is working like it should. Battery is just really low. So all right, so all the lights work, blinkers work, brakes work, everything seems to work as it should. All right, so we'll get this buttoned up all back together, and then we need to take apart the rear wheels, or trailer wheels I guess, and do all the bearings, repack those, and redo any brakes that need to be done, and make sure we adjust. If they're good, we need to adjust them.